Hi, my name's Leonie. I'm a Senior Case Manager for Safe Places for Children.
My name's Dion Palmer. I'm a Senior Youth Worker for Safe Places for Children. So Leonie, why did you get into youth work?
So I had a little bit of experience working with young people in New Zealand, and then when I moved to Australia, the opportunity came up to work full-time as a youth worker for Safe Places. And it's been 8 years since I've been with this company, so I really enjoy it, and I continue to learn and continue to see young people grow and thrive.
I think for me, inspiration came from watching some incidents that happened many years ago in Northern Territory involving youth, and that just sort of empowered me into doing a youth worker course, a Cert 4 in youth work, and applied for a job at Safe Places and was lucky enough to get the job and haven't looked back. What does your typical day look like? A typical day can start with getting your chores done, getting the house prepped and ready for the young person, so that when they get up or when they roll out of bed, we're ready to go and we're trying to hit the ground on a positive note. You know, we start off with a hearty breakfast, nice clean environment, warm environment, and that's going to kick you off to start that day.
So my typical day as a case manager, well, I have lots of tasks that I need to achieve, such as rostering, team meetings.
What is the hardest part of the job? It's an interesting question. Probably more like the frustrating part of the job is often when you have outside interferences, things from the outside that you can't control.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest parts of the job is when a young person is in absolute crisis. When they're in absolute crisis and you're pulling all of your tools out of your youth worker toolbox and it doesn't seem to be working at that time. And I think the hardest part is supporting a young person when they're really offline, when they're really struggling with the situation.
Yeah. Okay. What's your special trick for connecting with a young person when they're upset? Special trick? Well, there's not really a special trick. It's remaining calm.
Yes.
Offering reassurance that you're there and you're there specifically to care for that young person.
I think a real trick for me is always validating the young person's feelings. And it may seem like such a small issue to you or everybody else, but it's big to them. So by saying, like, I can see you're feeling really upset right now, it must be really tough to feel that way, and just validating that their feelings and emotions are important.
Can you remember a moment when you really knew you made a difference? Again, I mean, you do have light bulb moments, you do have those defining moments where you do have a breakthrough.
Sometimes it's the small wins though.
Is.
Sometimes it's not even anything that's major.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's something so small, but you know that it's a step in the right direction.
That's it.
One of my big moments was a young person that came to us and was a 2-worker model and an awake shift. So that's a really complex young person to have that amount of staff around her to manage her. And as we progressed with her, as the weeks passed, you know, after sort of 4 or 5 months, she was down to 1 worker, had her in full-time school. She was sleeping in normal times, she was respectful, she was building relationships, she was trusting adults. Why do you love working for Safe Places for Children?
Why do I love working for Safe Places for Children? In all honesty, I enjoy being a youth worker. I enjoy the rewards, be it sometimes they're very small, or you don't see them for a little bit. But the support from Safe Places I've found has been excellent.
I love working for Safe Places because it's forever changing, and we do operate basically under crisis all the time. There's lots of young people coming in, young people going out, and it's forever changing. There's always different challenges that I'm faced with daily. At Safe Places,
It's all about the young people.